Okay, we're back on the record in the matter of the discrimination complaint of Eric Hunsicker versus Charter Steele Division. And we're still in the complainant's case. Attorney Olson, do you have any questions in redirect for your client?
I do have a few.
Go ahead.
All right. Mr. Hunsicker, did you receive a termination letter from Charter Steele?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I would like to show the complainant exhibit number 5, the April 21, 2021 termination letter.
This is complainant's exhibit number 5, is that it?
Yes, it is.
All right, let me find that. Okay, I'll mark this as exhibit number 7 for purposes of today's hearing.
Should I proceed?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Hunsicker, is this the termination letter you received from the company?
Yes.
And this indicates, this letter indicates that your termination was effective on April 5, 2021. Knowing what you know today, looking at all the records, do you believe that is accurate?
I believe that the date on the termination is wrong.
All right. And with respect to other documents that you've compared this to, did this create any confusion for you?
Yes.
Okay. In what regard?
It confused the dates on all the
So you're pointing to hearing exhibit number 1,
right.
and
Nothing, my manager's leadership comments, those and on those dates.
okay. I'd also like to show you complainant's exhibit number 18.
All right, I've got that document here. A 4-page document, Attorney Olson?
Yes, it is.
It will be marked as Exhibit 8 for today's hearing.
And this is a memo to Eric Eider from Jeff Fayen, subject decision-making leave, DML, for violation of safety policies. And in the first line, it states, on April 15, 2021, you failed to lock out, tag out the roof exhaust fan control panel. Does this help you to reconcile when the incident with you standing on the shelf occurred?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I was confused on the dates because of the Charter Steele's termination letter was the date on the termination letter was wrong.
So do you think
I was
the,
confused.
Your Honor, I apologize. I was still on mute from the break, but I tried to object to that question as both leading and lack of foundation. I would just like that on the record. I understand the witness has already answered.
All right, go ahead, Attorney Olson.
all right, so given that the logout takeout violation was on April 15, does that assist you in reconciling when the incident involving the standing on the shelving occurred?
Yes, the dates are, it was confusing because the termination letter is wrong, and
So do you believe that the events involving your termination occurred in the first week or the third week of April?
yeah, they,
Objection, that's leading.
Well, I'll let the witness answer again. This is not, shouldn't be controversial information, but it has been so far. Attorney, or Mr. Hunsicker, what's your response?
end of the second week into the third week, yes.
Okay. All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
And recross, Attorney Foy.
No recross.
All right, Attorney Olson, any additional evidence or testimony for your case?
No, thank you.
Complainant rests. This is actually a good time to take a break for lunch, and then we'll resume with the respondent's case. Attorney Foy, who's going to be the first witness for the respondent?
Sam Kimmel.
All right. I've got 11:52 at this point in time. I guess how much time would people like? We usually take anywhere between half an hour to an hour for lunch. Attorney Olson, what's your preference?
Whatever's convenient for anyone else, I'm fine with.
Attorney Foy, do you have any preference that way?
I think 30 minutes hopefully is sufficient and might expedite the day a bit.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's resume at 12:30. That gives us a little bit more than half an hour. And then we'll start with the respondent's case and Ms. Kimmel. So let's do that, and we'll resume at 12:30. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we are back on the record in hearing number 202101049, the matter of the discrimination complaint, Mayor Hunsicker versus Charter Steele Division. We completed the complainant's case in the morning. We're now proceeding with the respondent's case. And prior to going on break, Attorney Foy had indicated that the first witness to be called by the respondent is Ms. Kimmel, and she is on the call, as it were, right now. Do we need to take up anything before we proceed with the testimony? Attorney Olson?
No, thank you.
And Attorney Foy?
I would just like to know if Mr. Hunsicker is still in the room with Attorney Olson or if he's left for the day.
You, sir.
You know what? I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you repeat that?
I just asked if Mr. Hunsicker was still in the room or if he had left for the day.
No, he's here.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Ms. Kimmel, if you'd please raise your right hand, I'll swear you in for your testimony. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you would state your name for the record, spelling your last name.
Samantha Kimmel, Kimmel.
And what is your position at Charter Steele?
I am an HRIS analyst.
How long have you worked for Charter Steele?
So actually currently I'm at Charter Manufacturing, our corporate division, but I worked at Charter Steele prior for about 7 years.
Okay. And what were the years that you worked at Charter Steele?
2014 to the very end of 2021.
All right. And when you were at Charter Steele, who was your direct supervisor?
Kelly Minelski. For the end portion, I had a few supervisors.
All right. Attorney Foy, questions for Ms. Kimmel?
Ms. Kimmel, have you ever given testimony under oath before?
No, I have not.
Do you understand that you have agreed to give sworn testimony today?
Yes.
And you understand that that means you need to tell the truth in your testimony today, right?
Yes.
Is there any reason that you're unable to give truthful testimony today?
No.
Thank you. Judge Gelhard just asked you a few questions about your employment, and I'm
Mhm.
also going to ask you a few questions along those lines. You testified that you're currently an HRIS analyst, correct?
Yes, I am.
How long have you held that position?
Since January 1st, 2022.
And before that, could you just speak to what job you held?
Yes, I was an HR partner at Charter Steele.
Can you describe some of your job duties as an HR partner, please?
Sure. So I dealt with our melt shop and our rolling mill. I was the HR representative for both of those plants, where I would help employees on a day-to-day basis with employee relations, any sort of corrective actions, things of that nature, supporting supervisors and the employees.
You also testified just a minute ago that you have been with Charter Steele since 2014. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Mhm.
And were you an HR partner from 2014, the entire time from 2014 to 2021, or did you have other jobs?
I had other jobs. So I started as an HR intern, moved to an HR associate, and then an HR coordinator, an HR rep, and then an HR partner.
Can you please tell us the dates that you held the HR partner role?
Yes. So I was an HR partner from January of 2020, I believe. Yep. Of 2020 to the end of 2021. So 2 years.
Thank you. Are you familiar with the complainant in this case, Mr. Hunsicker?
Yes.
How so?
He was an employee in the melt shop, and I supported the melt shop.
And how often did you interact with him?
Here and there, really only if he needed something, but not very often.
Okay, so you testified a moment ago with respect to your job duties that you had some oversight over Charter's employee policies.
Yes.
Can you describe generally, please, some of Charter's employment policies?
Sure. So at Charter, we're an equal opportunity employer, non-discriminatory employer, and we have a lot of non-discrimination policies as well as policies around safety, and very much value the safety of our employees.
I am going to direct your attention to a document that was part of the respondent's witness and exhibit list.
Mhm.
It's marked as Exhibit 1, and it's numbered R1 to R2.
Okay.
Are you able to put your hands on that document?
Yes, it's this one, correct?
That
Safety
looks
policy at the top?
correct.
Yes.
And Attorney Foy, that's a 2-page document, is that right?
It is.
I'm going to mark that as Exhibit 9 for today's hearing.
Ms. Kimmel, are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
Can you describe what it is, please?
Yes, so this is a page out of or a couple pages out of our employee handbook, noting our safety policy for charter manufacturing, as well as on that second page, our non-discrimination policy, equal employment policy, and some other policies around safety, incident reporting, and personal protective equipment.
And you said that these are handbook pages. To whom does this handbook apply?
All employees at Charter Manufacturing.
And does that include Charter Steele employees?
Yes, yep, so Charter Manufacturing and all of its divisions. So Charter Steele is included.
Thank you. Can you please speak a little bit more about Charter's safety policy that's identified on this exhibit?
Sure. So the number one thing with this policy is we want employees to finish their work in the same condition that they've started. So that means coming to work and doing their job safely every day and following any sort of safety practices that might apply in their specific job.
Why is that important?
It's important to make sure that employees are keeping themselves safe as well as their coworkers. And we want to make sure that, they're able to go home to, everybody's able to go home to their families at night in the same way that they came in.
How do charter employees know about these safety policies and expectations?
So as far as the safety policy that we're referring to here in the handbook, this handbook is distributed to all employees and acknowledged by all employees every time that it's revised.
Are there other ways that charter employees know about safety expectations?
Yes, so we have annual safety trainings as well as if there's any other policies or changes that come up, we will train employees on those items as needed.
And can you explain if charter has any specific areas of focus for safety?
Yes, so we have a few critical areas that we refer to as FPRs at Charter Steele. So those would be fall protection, mobile equipment, other ones similar to that, that employees would all be trained on.
And what does an employee training typically look like?
Yeah, so there is a training usually conducted by the supervisor or the safety team, and that would be a presentation that would be distributed, a consistent presentation that would be distributed to all supervisors from a member of management or from our safety team. And they would all sit down with every employee, usually in a group setting, and ensure that every employee that attended signed off that they attended that training and go through the slides and make sure everybody understands.
And can you describe a little bit more, please, about how Charter tracks those training sessions?
Yes, so there typically would be a sign-in sheet at every training that we have to make sure that we're capturing all employees, because we want to make sure that everybody is up to date and trained every time we roll something out. So an employee would sign in as well as we track it in our Workday system on the employee record.
Okay, and I am going to ask you to please pull up an exhibit that we have marked as Exhibit 17. It is numbered as R58. And for Judge Gelhard and Attorney Olson, this has already been marked as Exhibit 5 for the hearing, but Ms. Kimmel was not in attendance at the time that that was marked.
Okay, so you said Exhibit 16?
17.
17. Okay. Yes, I have that in front of me.
Would you be willing to hold that page up?
Mm-hmm. Yes, is it this one?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Do you recognize that document?
I do, yes.
Can you describe what it is, please?
Yes, so this is a screen capture of Mr. Hunsicker's training records. And it looks like highlighted is when he was trained in our FPRs and then also in fall protection.
And can you just describe a little bit further about when those trainings were completed?
Sure, yeah, so it looks like he was trained in FPRs on March 15th, 2021, and then in fall protection on November 15th, 2019. It's a little blurry on there, but I believe it says 2019. Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Charter's FPR process?
Yes, I am.
Can you describe what that process all involves, please?
Sure. So when there is an incident that would fall within the FPRs, what happens is the employee typically would be sent home while there is an investigation into that incident. We want to also talk to the employee to see what may have happened from their perspective, send them home, and then there would be a full investigation into the incident that is taken. So after that investigation is completed, a plant leadership team, so depending on the plant, those members might change, but the plant leadership team would come together, review the entire investigation, and fill out our FPR form, which is a standard document that every FPR incident that has to be filled out. And then based on that investigation and running through that form, we would determine a level of corrective action that would need to be taken due to that FPR violation.
I am going to bring your attention specifically to an incident that Mr. Hunsicker was involved in April of 2021. That was a safety issue. Are you familiar with that incident?
Yes, I am.
And can you describe your involvement in that incident, please?
Yes, so I was made aware of this incident in April of 2021, and essentially I was brought in on the plant leadership team to help with that investigation and that determination on corrective action level.
Can you describe what you recall from that investigation?
Yes, so from what I recall, so basically what happened was Mr. Hunsicker had climbed up on a rack to move a cord reel. This cord reel and this rack was 6 feet in the air. And Mr. Hunsicker climbed up on this rack without any fall protection that happened. His supervisor saw that he climbed up on this rack and asked him to come down immediately and discussed the incident with him. And then that happened on a Friday. Then a few days later, the plant leadership was notified of this incident. And we sat down as a group to discuss everything that had happened, the incident itself, the conversation with Mr. Hunsicker that the supervisor had. We reviewed the incident, filled out the FPR form during that meeting, and that meeting was the longest FPR meeting that I had ever been a part of, because it was a very difficult decision to make for everybody who was involved in that room. The discussion and investigation probably took, I would say, about 2 hours to reach that final decision. And on that FPR form, there are 3 questions that if they are all 3 answered yes, that employee, it skips straight to termination. It's very black and white. And unfortunately, with Mr. Hunsicker's case, that is the determination that we came to. Again, we talked extensively about each 3 of those questions to see if there was really any way around it, that we didn't have to answer all of those questions yes, and that's why the conversation took so long. But ultimately, unfortunately, all 3 of those questions were answered yes based on the circumstances of the conversation or of the incident, and that was the determination that we came to.
Thank you. So you just shared a lot of information, and I'm going to go back and try to unpack a little bit of it. So we have a document in our exhibit list that is Exhibit 4, and it is marked R30 and R31.
Yep. Is it this one?
It is. And again, that was also marked earlier as an exhibit in this hearing. I believe Judge Gelhard is exhibit 1 for our hearing. So Ms. Kimmel, can you take a minute to look at the document that we have just identified?
Mhm.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe it, please?
Yes, this is the FPR violation form that I was describing earlier that we filled out during that plant leadership meeting where we discussed Mr. Hunsicker's FPR violation. And this is that standard form that we would fill out for any investigation.
And I just want to clarify, who was involved in filling this form out for Mr. Hunsicker?
Sure. So are you looking for the members of the plant leadership meeting? Plant leadership team? Yep. Okay. So that would be Greg Schaefer, he's the plant manager, Brian Coakley, the maintenance manager, Eric Novicki, the services manager, Keith Hosh, maintenance supervisor, Dave Lesniak, process and product development manager, Willie Schoder is the billet yard manager, Tom Melikar, production manager, Bernie Ortiz, refractory manager, Kyle Pankinen, safety manager, Lindsay Nelson, safety engineer, and then myself, Sam Kimmel, HR partner.
Okay. And can you please describe the demographics of each of those individuals for us?
Sure, yes. So Greg Schaefer, the plant manager, he is 39 years, or at the time of the incident, he was 39 years old. Brian Coakley, 60 years old. Eric Novicki, 56. Keith Hosh, 50. Dave Lesniak, 55. Willie Schoder, 54. Tom Melikar, 56. Bernie Ortiz, 62. Kyle Pankinen, 41. Lindsay Nelson, 34. And myself, Sam Kimmel, I was 28.
Looking at this FPR violation form, can you please look at the very top of the document and the 3 rows that have questions on them? Can you explain for us, please, those questions and their significance?
Yes, so these are the 3 questions I described a little bit earlier. The 3 questions are highlighted yellow on this page. And these are the 3 questions that if answered, all 3 are answered yes, would lead to an employee's employment being terminated. So the first question is, were the actions within the employee's control? Was the outcome severe or had the potential to be severe? And was the employee trained, and was the training documented?
Okay. And how were those 3 questions answered in Mr. Hunsicker's case?
All 3 of those questions were answered yes.
With respect to the actual incident itself, was Mr. Hunsicker interviewed as part of this process?
Yes, his supervisor talked to him immediately after the incident.
And what is your understanding of Mr. Hunsicker's description of that event or his attitude?
So my understanding is his attitude was very dismissive in the immediate conversation following.
Object on the basis, excuse me, on the basis of hearsay.
Well, I don't believe that this witness personally observed it or talked to the employee. Is that right, Ms. Kimmel?
I did not observe or talk to him in this instance.
Yeah, so I think that the objection has to be sustained in this case.
Ms. Kimmel, I'm going to ask you to look once again at the FPR violation form and at row number 7.
Yep.
And you've testified that the plant leadership team filled out this form together, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So were you part of those deliberations and conversations in filling out this form?
Yes, I was.
And can you describe your understanding of the question, the answer to the question, did the employee accept responsibility?
Yes. So that question, number 7.
Object hearsay.
The witness is allowed to testify to her understanding, which led to the decision making.
All right, I'll let the witness answer the question, Ms. Kimmel.
Okay. So question number 7 was answered no, that the employee accepted responsibility So my understanding of the answer to this question was that he did not deny that the incident occurred. He accepted that it occurred, but had a very dismissive attitude about the entire situation and basically dismissed it.
Move to strike is based on hearsay.
Attorney Olson, you know what? I'm having a tough time hearing you. I don't know why that is. I don't know if Attorney Foy is also having that same problem, but I did not hear what you just said.
Move to strike the last answer is based on hearsay.
I'm going to allow the answer to stand because this particular witness did participate in the meeting, and so I'm going to allow the answer that she gave to remain in the record. Go ahead, Attorney Foy.
Thank you. Ms. Kimmel, you earlier testified about different safety procedures and expectations for charter employees and that you have a familiarity with those. So specifically, can you talk a little bit about charter's expectations for fall protection?
Yes, so the expectation for fall protection is that any employee, if they're going above 4 feet, must have some form of fall protection on.
And what is the expectation for charter employees if they don't believe that they are able to use fall protection?
They are to talk to their supervisor to figure out the safest way to perform the task.
You also testified a few minutes ago about the timeline of this investigation. Can you speak a little bit more to that, please?
Sure. So the incident itself happened on a Friday, I believe a Friday morning. And Mr. Hunsicker was talked to immediately after by his supervisor. And then plant leadership was not informed that this incident had occurred until Monday afternoon or evening. So then the plant leadership team immediately met on Tuesday and followed the process from there.
Why wasn't the plant leadership team informed on that Friday of the safety violation?
The supervisor did not inform anyone. I can't speak to exactly why he didn't, but he was talked to after the incident because our FPR violation policy is to immediately report the incident. And unfortunately, in this situation, that didn't happen. But once the plant leadership team was informed, we took the immediate action.
And can you again just describe the conclusion of the plant leadership team's investigation?
Yes, so since all 3 of the first questions were answered yes, the plant leadership team determined that Mr. Hunsicker's employment would be terminated due to the violation that had occurred.
Once the plant leadership team makes that decision or comes to a consensus, what happens next in the process?
The plant leadership team will submit this form that we all have in front of us. This form will go to our OSLT or Operations Safety Leadership Team, and they will review the final decision.
And did the OSLT review Mr. Hunsicker's decision?
Yes, they did.
And can you describe that next step in the process, please?
Yes, they also determined that termination was the right call, so they agreed with our determination.